I am dumb, folks. I am so effing dumb. This is why when I did the GoPro video and the live streaming, I thought it was really, really important that while I'm showing you how the live streaming works, that it was imperative that as I'm showing you how the live streaming works, that I do it unedited so that you can see in case I did or said something really stupid. Because I do things really stupid on a regular basis, like install RAM chips in the wrong without actually pushing the RAM chips into the system. Thank God I don't build computers for people. That would be awful, genuinely awful. All right, so now we're gonna do a recording audio separately, just in case you go out of sync. I'm never gonna deal with that again. Okay, start recording. Audio sync, clap. With that being said, we are gonna cherry pick something and get to work. So I have my 64 gigabyte RAM kit over there. Oh, and my Stream Deck isn't working right at the moment. I'm sure that's because I did something else stupid. So check this out. Watch this. So we do Stream Deck. Smart fan auto. I got my fan set to quiet. I actually can barely hear it, which is pretty nice. 'Cause I am definitely pushing this. Definitely making this go swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. And my temperatures are actually pretty nice. See? So 56 Celsius in the CPU. I can barely hear anything in there. Chipset 34 Celsius. The MOSFETs on the board are 40 Celsius. That's a little high, but that's only because I'm running it in quiet mode. But still, this is pretty slick. This is some good stuff. So let's see. How much CPU is OBS using right now? Okay, OBS is not using a lot of CPU because I'm not showing you something on the screen. If I move over to more complex video, yeah, so recording in ProRes, 16%. I like that. Because the thing I like about ProRes is that is that it's much more editable. Like if you have a bunch of clips and you're trying to fast forward from this to that and clip this and move this over, it just, even if you have a really powerful computer, editing software just doesn't like really high bitrate X264. But it's fine working with ProRes. So ProRes, it's disgusting. It's an Apple codec. I feel sick to my stomach using it, but I didn't pay for it, so I don't feel too terrible. All right, so we are going to get to work here. One last thing I have to do before we start and grab a computer at random. 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 Is make sure that I set this to quiet, but I want to make sure the pump is on all the time because the pump does not have, yeah, I don't need pump doesn't make it much noise, so that should always be on pretty high. So get you up there. Okay. Say apply. Apply to pump. Very good. Doesn't make much difference in noise, but it makes a large difference in temperature. What's your knowledge of programming? Have you ever tried learning? Yes, and I was not very good at it. You realize you're talking to somebody that for 4 months didn't understand why their RAM wasn't working when it wasn't plugged into the slot, right? Like, I spent hours on that. Hours trying to plug it in. And I couldn't plug it in. Oh my God. Just so sad. So effing sad to be this dumb. It's some Enermax piece of shit. Now, I know what you're thinking, right? I know what you're thinking. Even though the Enermax is the only all-in-one that covers the entire Threadripper, it has a problem with leaks, right? Aren't you concerned about the leaks? Because if it leaks, then you're screwed. Well, guess what we do here, motherfucker? We fix liquid damage. Do you think I'm afraid of a pump? Do you think I'm afraid of a pump? Hell no! I'm not afraid of a leaky pump. I ain't afraid of leaking anything. I'm not afraid of leaking MacBooks. And I'm not afraid of a leaky pump. I am not afraid of a leaky pump. No fear here. No fear. Absolutely no fear. Okay. Do I have my audio level set right? Ah! Much distortion. We'll see. Let's see. What does Vegas say? Ah! Ah! Okay, maybe I could make it a little lower. Oh, the next thing I got to show you. So the next thing that I broke. Check this out before we get started. So if you look over here, this is my screen. This is my Stream Deck, right? This is Open Broadcaster over here. So you have Open Broadcaster and you have my Stream Deck. Now watch what happens when you click on Start Recording. Please launch OBS Studio. But OBS Studio is right here. It's right here. It's right here, Elgato. It's right there. It's right here. But it says please launch OBS Studio. But OBS Studio is right here. I've tried reinstalling OBS. I've tried reinstalling Stream Deck, and it still doesn't work. But nobody's going to believe that it isn't something I did, because I just admitted that after 4 months, I didn't even know that my RAM wasn't plugged into my computer. See? See what happens when you're a fucking idiot? Like me? All right. So, we've got some work ahead of us. So, let's get to work. We're going to fix a MacBook. And this thing's going to be great. I just got to make sure that I'm on the screen. Am I on the screen? Test. I am on the screen. You can see me. I hope you can see me. That's all right. Let's get to work. So what do we have in the queue for today? Because I know from my last stream I had the audio a little hot. I thought I didn't, but I thought I didn't. It's one of those things where even though it's not distorting at one stage, it was probably at the end of it on the other. So it's better to just keep the noise low. It's better to just keep the settings a little lower and make it higher later. Because I had I had minus 27 on the transmitter, plus 12 on the receiver, and yeah, plus 12 on that was probably too much. But they said, up it until the bar goes up on the receiver, until you're at least halfway. And to get it even close to halfway, I have it at plus 12, regardless of how high I had it on the transmitter. Sennheiser confused me. Ah, well. Ah, well. What to do? Okay, let's actually do something interesting, because me talking is boring. Okay. Here we have another dead MacBook. Let's figure out what's wrong with this MacBook and see if it can be fixed. This stream is brought to you by Paul Daniels' Horrible Software, which can be found at pldaniels.com. That's pldaniels.com if you want to be frustrated by software that freezes, glitches, confuses you, and trolls you. From the lands of the mighty koala, head over to pldaniels.com to be trolled today. The land of the mighty koala. Koala, koala. All right, we can open up this MacBook. Koala, koala. Koala, koala. Koala, koala. The land of Teresa and Paul Daniels. The land of the mighty koala and kangaroo and dingo. I actually kind of want a burrito now too, but there's no place that's going to be open at 2 in the morning. You may think that this is the city that never sleeps, but no, this is the city that never stops letting people drink. So if you want to go to a crappy bodega, or you want to go to a shitty dive bar, or you want to eat unhealthy food at some fried chicken place or some crappy deli where the sandwich has been sitting there for 2 weeks, by all means, we never close. But if you want something of quality, well, after 9 p.m., GTFO. I will challenge myself on that opinion by going and looking on the internet to see if there's something that I can eat. But more unlikely that there is. Unlikely that there is. And I feel kind of guilty for eating the... I ate Domino's yesterday. I can't do that for like a year at least now. All right. So now remember, the first thing that I like to do when working on these devices is unplug the battery. I want to know how much amperage the board is using without the battery. The battery is going to use a different amount of amperage depending on whether or not it is fully charged, half charged, or completely discharged. I want to know exactly how much amperage the board is using because associating different problems with different amperage draws means that as soon as I plug this in, if it's taking 200 milliamps, that's one set of problems. If it's taking 100 milliamps, that's another set of problems. If it's taking 20 milliamps, then we put it on Paul's desk. But you get the idea. Every time I solve a board, I try to figure out how much amperage it was taking in the beginning by just writing it down, and then I associate that with the problem, and then it's a shortcut. So, every time I have this, I know it's that. So we're going to see what... Now, this thing is taking 0 amps. 0 is an interesting number. 0 is a very interesting number of amps for this to be taking. That is most likely indicative of some sort of short circuit. So let's see what's going on here. We're going to unplug the board, unplug the battery, unplug everything from it, and see what's wrong with our little touch bar MacBook. MacBook. What streaming deck is Lewis using? I am using the Elgato Stream Deck. Paul Daniels just... You realize that's like the N-word of people that are in this industry, Paul Daniels, right? You essentially just called me the N-word of this business. You should be ashamed of yourself, Paul Daniels. Effing ashamed of yourself. He said I'm a fine example of the type of customer demographic that Apple is going for. Those are fighting words, Paul. I think it's about time that Paul and I have a wrestling match. He'd probably win. People who can't plug in RAM most likely can't pay attention in a fight. Oh, man. I pay for a wrestling match ticket if it goes to charity, someone says. But on a more serious note, you should all check out pldaniels.com. He actually does make some amazing software. It's good stuff. It makes my life easier. People like Paul make the lives of people like me easier. And we appreciate that. We really do. Just got this computer to stop making me deaf. Ah, thank you, little computer. I'm surprised New York City doesn't have a 24-hour Mexican joint. I'm sure there's a joke to be found inside there. But I'm not gonna find it. One moment. Plug something into the wrong place. That would explain why the wrong fan is turning on here. I plugged something into the wrong place. Boo. Which fan did I plug into the wrong place? Uh-oh. Oh, that's no good. There's a wire wrapped around one of my fan blades. Oh, shit. Oh, this is some stupid RGB shit wire. Damn it. Come on, little wire. Rest in peace, fan. So apparently it's not good for a fan to have a wire shoved in it while it's trying to turn on for like 20 minutes. That's frowned upon. This is a boring stream. Lewis is under a desk right now. My apologies for the boringness. That is definitely a dead fan. CPU fans do not like having a wire shoved in them for long periods of time, apparently. Big surprise there. Alright, I'll have to fix that shit later. I'm sure one CPU fan will be fine. It's not like I'm running an AMD processor that runs at ridiculously high. Oh. Should I replace the fan and then finish the stream? Or what should I do? Let's see, what happens if I just tell it to run at full RPM? Spin, mofo, spin. Spin, little mofo, spin. Did you suggest cleaning fans and air ducts? Why not? Sure. Just make sure that you don't get an RGB wire that you don't even use directly shoved inside of the fan. That's bad. That's stupid. Okay, we'll deal with that later. That is an issue that we will deal with later. One fan on the cooler is fine. 62 Celsius CPU. That's beautiful. This'll be great. Okay, where was I? Taking apart this touch bar because it's definitely more important to fix other people's stuff rather than fix my own. But you remember, you're not allowed to fix your own computer. You must only fix computers that belong to other people. Stats, I've already thought about that in great detail. It's gone through my mind. Because then I'd have to ask if she would be willing to change her last name to have an OU instead of an EW. The problem, I do believe, is that Ruby Lewis has a boyfriend. So there's that. That's not happening. Yeah. But, oh well. There are other women that are more interesting, I imagine. There's a chance that I might have even found one. You never know. Unless it's a prank from 4chan. Okay, so we're going to finish taking this machine apart. And then when I'm done taking this machine apart, once I'm done taking this apart, I am going to put another fan in my Threadripper before it dies. What do you use to control fans? I use this thing. Some gigabyte software. Open hardware monitor is sometimes good and sometimes it does not see or allow you to control fans at all. On my other machine, it allowed me to control a bunch. On this machine, it doesn't allow you to control shit. It just doesn't see anything. Okay. I'm not moving quickly today. It's like being a cleaner. You don't want to come home and clean your own toilet. See? Teresa gets me. Teresa understands my pain. I am not cleaning somebody's toilet for $25 an hour. What used model MacBook should I buy? I suggest you get a ThinkPad P50. I think that you would be best served with a ThinkPad P50. It's definitely the MacBook I would suggest that you get. No other MacBook I could imagine you getting besides the ThinkPad P50 MacBook. It's made by Lenovo. It has a start menu. The ThinkBook. Do you want to get Mac'd on or do you want to think? MacBook. No MacBook. What the hell's wrong with you? MacBook. No MacBook. You don't want a damn MacBook. No. You know you don't want a MacBook. I know you don't want a MacBook. Don't buy a MacBook. If you're watching this channel, just don't buy a MacBook. You'll be happy later. Even if you don't trust me now, later on. Later on you'll thank me. You need me on that bridge. I have neither the time nor the inclination to explain myself to somebody who lives under the blanket of the security I provide, who then demands that I explain how or who complains about the manner in which I provide it. I think that is a big ripoff, Q's Tech Service. I shouldn't say ripoff. That's not the wrong word. I think it's not the best deal. As a ripoff is an Apple product. At least the ThinkPad's gonna last. It was not a pain to install the CPU. It was just, as somebody who's scared of over-tightening screws, as somebody who has been traumatized by the concept of long screw damage and destroying people's data, I could not bring myself to turn the Torx, not the Torx, the Torx screw that comes with it, using the provided torque wrench, screwdriver, whatever thingy that it comes with. You're supposed to turn it until it clicks. I didn't have it in me to do it. I didn't have the courage, and it was driving people nuts on live stream. You're not turning it all the way. You're not turning it all the way. Rah! Like, bro, I work in an industry. We're turning the screw. Like, just turning the wrong screw, just like one turn too much, means you just destroyed a customer's data. You fucked with their livelihood. And now they're going to hate you forever because their unbacked up data is gone. You're goddamn right I'm afraid to turn the screwdriver. So why are people suggesting I get sleep? Stop that. I need to fix MacBook. This is my purpose. And after I'm done with this, I have to finish putting the pegs on my bike that will allow me to have my seat I think my bike has a seat on it. That's pretty awesome. Yeah, let me see if I can show you guys a picture. Transferring the picture to the phone, image from the phone to here, is going to require finding a cable or some shit. And I actually can't use this FTP server app because it will only show you pictures from. It can only show you stuff on the onboard storage. It won't show you anything that's on the SD card. Fucking Android sometimes. So I'm just going to do the ghetto thing and show you my phone like this. So this here, look at this. This bike right here, this is the ultimate gold digger repellent right here. So like I'm gonna imagine showing up, imagine meeting a woman, just taking your sunglasses and taking them off and going, "Hey baby, come for a ride in my Bafang." Now this here, seriously, this is the ultimate in gold digger repellent. This is my mobile, and that is the seat that I got on my Bafang mobile. It doubles as a trunk, so I can actually put shit in there. So I have a trunk, and I can also have somebody else in the bike. So I'm thinking, I could maybe find somebody on Fiverr or Freelancer for maybe $100 or $200. Could code me some software that's slightly less buggy than GoPro, and have like an Uber type of app, except for my Bafang. So if I want to make extra money every now and then, I could just give people rides all around the city. But yeah, yeah. Hey girl, want to ride my Bafang? Yep, that is gold digger repellent right there. Absolute gold digger repellent. You have any money? I have a Bafang. Okay, so what we're going to do now. Are you sick of privacy violations enough you'll switch to Linux? I don't hate myself enough for that. That's the thing. In order to use Linux, I have to really hate myself. Like, I have to really, really hate myself as a human being. I have to have a desire that every single basic element of computing that I've just come to accept as a standard over the past 5 to 20 years is just going to have to get thrown right out the window. So, hey, you know how you have a laptop where you could switch between the discrete GPU and the Intel GPU based on what you're doing so that you don't waste the battery? Yeah, fuck that. You can either log in with the discrete GPU, or you can log in with the integrated, or you can you can reboot and get or something like. I remember when I had a Lenovo T440. It had this really shitty trackpad, and I had to actually, write my own x.org.conf and custom fucking set it up so that it would see certain mouse buttons. It's like, oh my god, this is awful. Or let's say you want to use, oh my god, Jack Audio, or using if you want to use a VST plugin. No VST audio plugins. This is Linux. Or the editors, like Kden Live, which crash every 5 seconds. I did a video on that a few years ago. I gave up on Linux video editing because it was crash after crash after crash after crash after crash. No Bumblebee. No Bumblebee. I don't want to configure that shit. I'm not configuring that shit. It's 2019. You fucking work out of the box or I'm done. I'm at work at 2:19 a.m. It's 2:19 a.m. on a Saturday morning, and I am still here. At work. Do you think I have any desire to configure the most basic tenets of a laptop that other people figured out 10 years ago? No. I use Linux from 2002 through 2015. And through 2003 through 2013, I hated myself enough to use Gentoo. But yeah, no, I mean, there's just basic tenets of usability in a computer that I just expect. I want to be able to open my video editor and just add a VST plugin into an audio track. Well, we don't support plugins in audio tracks, but the ones that are built in. If you want to use some other audio plugin, you have to use a DAW because that's what a DAW is for. Well, no, but I like the fact that in Vegas, if I can just do it within the program and not have to export the audio separately, and then no. There's always something, especially if you want to do anything audio related. God forbid I want to log into the software for the camera setup at the store. So let's say I want to see if somebody stole something. Good luck getting that software to work in Linux. Or like what else is there? I honestly forget. It's been 5 years since I use Linux regularly, so for me to trash it constantly is kind of mean because I don't have specific examples. I just don't hate myself enough to deal with it. Because here's what I would find out. Anytime there would be something new idea I want to try or new thing that I thought was cool that I wanted to work with, there was a barrier that existed with Linux that just wasn't there with other operating systems. Let's just talk about something like the Stream Deck. So this is obviously a fucking piss poor example because I showed you recently that this piece of shit is not actually working. It doesn't see, but this is a Linuxy thing that I would expect. So this is an item that allows me to switch scenes without having to click. It gives me a little picture of what's going on with each scene. I can tell which ones are on, which ones are off, all cool stuff like that. If I want to use this with Linux, somebody created some sort of API that allows this to communicate with the machine, but not with OBS. So I have to like fucking go through that shit. If I want this thing to work with OBS, I have to code it myself. Like I don't want to code it myself. I have a schedule. I have a business. I have 11 employees. I'm here at work at 2:20 a.m. on a Saturday because it's that fucking busy. I don't have time to read the manual. I don't want to read manuals to do basic things anymore. That's the argument I get into with the HAKKO with people. Like, well, if you read the manual, you know how to make it do. Like, I don't want to read a manual. All I'm asking to do with this station, it's a fucking soldering station. You set the temperature, that's it. If you have to read a manual to set the temperature on a soldering station, the company who made that soldering station has fucking failed because it's 2019. That should be intuitive. I don't want to read a manual to do basic tasks ever again. And I like things that I have here. Like you have things like the Isotope Audio RX5 for dialogue denoiser or the maximizer or the URS channel strip pro. You don't get this shit on Linux. You get these like half-assed. I mean, I shouldn't say half-assed, but these audio plugins that were coded by people sitting in their bedroom. And God bless the power of code from people who sit in their bedroom. It's just you have individuals who spend nothing all day other than their goal in life, their singular goal for their entire team is modeling audio hardware to make this sound like an LA2A. And like the one dude doing that for free in his bedroom, it's not going to be as good. It's not going to be as good. There's just too many projects where it's almost good enough, but not quite. But yeah, I just don't want to do it because I know that's this thing. I know I'm going to install it, and I'm going to have to edit my x.org.conf to get my keyboard to work. Oh, here's another great example. So the ThinkPad P50. I have a ThinkPad P50. Get HDMI audio out on a ThinkPad P50. I'm waiting. I didn't say HDMI video. I said HDMI audio. Get HDMI audio out on a ThinkPad P50 because you don't want to use you don't want to carry around an external interface and you don't want to use a separate 1/8 inch to RCA cable to plug it in when you're at some sort of venue. I'll wait. That's right. And I know what you're going to say. Oh, you want that feature, you can program your own driver. I don't want to fucking program my own driver. I have a goddamn job. Anyway, I'm just acting salty because it's 2:30 in the morning and my food hasn't arrived yet. Once my food gets here, there'll be a little less sodium. I do like a lot about Linux. I used Linux as a main operating system from 2002 through 2015. There just came a point where I just realized the time that I would spend Googling shit to figure out how to make something work that already worked in Windows or OS X is time that I could spend having a life, or even better than having a life, far more worthwhile than having a life, fixing MacBooks. And if I have to choose between fixing MacBooks or figuring out stuff in Linux, I'll choose fixing MacBooks. Fixing MacBooks. If I have to spend even a half hour Googling to figure out how to do something in Linux that I could have done already in Windows, I gotta cut back because I remember I was such a little hipster social justice hate Microsoft shit. When in 2002 I was like my homepage was fuckmicrosoft.com. I hated Microsoft. By compiling Gentoo, I was sticking it to the man. But then like at some point I just grew up and I realized it's 3 in the morning. It's 3 in the morning and I'm editing an x.org conf file to get my trackpad to work. It is 5 in the morning and I've spent an hour trying to get HDMI audio to work. Why am I doing this to myself? Like I'll let Bill Gates win. I'll fucking take the L. I will let Bill Gates win so that I can just attach my HDMI cable to my goddamn receiver and watch Shawshank Redemption because I like that movie and rewatch Shawshank Redemption with audio. Rather than having the audio come out of the speakers of my laptop, I'll have it come out of my Vandersteins. I just want it to work. I just want it to work. Anyway, let's see. So 20 volts, 0 amps. 20 volts, 0 amps. Ruby Lewis or fixing MacBooks? Don't make me choose, man. Don't make me choose. Fixing MacBooks. Let's see. Yeah, fixing MacBooks. Let's see. Whoops. I didn't set up my scenes properly, did I? I did not set up my scenes properly. Why do I still have Lewis Rossmann Repair is underwater over here? Huh. Oh, I have two scenes into the same key. Yeah, clear that shit. Okay. Come back to New York, Ruby. Come back and do Cirque du Soleil again. Don't make me take a 6-hour flight to see your shows. Oh well, enough of that. We have a MacBook to fix. So as you can see here, this MacBook is taking 0 amps at 20.2 volts. So the first thing I'm going to do is take a look on the schematic and board view so we can get a list of power rails and hopefully figure out which power rail is missing from this MacBook. I know I used Google. Again, it's like quitting heroin. It's going to be time. It's going to take time. Google is a drug. You have to wean yourself off of the drug. I'm working on it. Trust me. It's hard though. Okay. So let's open up the schematic and the board view. What the flying fizzfuck? Okay. Where's the list of power rails? List of power rails. How many Linux people did I make rage, by the way? Godgval. How are you doing, Miss Nacera? How are you doing? Let's see. I got the stuff back that the post-Nord lost, by the way. I got that stuff back, so when I have time, I will try and reship it to you. Interesting. So I made scroll lock and pause the keys on this computer that were going to turn on and off Paul Daniels' software, but there is no scroll lock on this keyboard. So what do I do? Uh-oh. Okay, let me just change my shortcuts. 1 second. Hotkeys. Yeah, scroll lock. Really? There is no such thing as a scroll lock. What if I make what key can I make for this at the moment? F6 and F7. Yeah, I'll make it F6 and F7. F6, F7. That you know. F5, F6. F5, F6, until I fix the Stream Deck. F5, F6, F5, F6, F5, F6, F5, F6. F5, F6, F5, F6, F5, F6. Okay, let's see if this works. Go, Paul Daniels software. Okay, do we have the Paul Daniels software up? Yes, we do. Wait, no, that doesn't count, though. Okay, here we go. I got my keys set up. Go Gadget Paul Daniels software. Sarah, I have to chew your ear off later if you have time. Random question not related to the topic. Is there any chance we might see you at Linus's LTX event this year? Most likely no. I was going to Canada for vacation last year with a woman that I was dating who thought it would be a good idea to go to Canada. And now I'm not seeing that person anymore, so I don't really have much reason to go to Canada. Although it was interesting to meet the Canadians. Okay, back to what we're doing. So if we look over here, you'll see that we have PP-Bus G3 Hot as my first rail. So let's measure that rail and see if it's present on this MacBook. Okay, let's get the... Now we also have to figure out where PP-Bus is on this MacBook. I think PP-Bus is going to be somewhere down here. Here is PP-Bus. PP-Bus? Where are you, PP-Bus? Did I really forget where the PP-Bus is? Oh my god, I lost track of my PP-Bus. No way. PP-Bus. Here we go. That fuse. Okay. So let's take a look. I have to get used to using my keyboard rather than my Stream Deck. Okay, so we're going to check out the PP-Bus. And PP-Bus seems to be 0 volts. So now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to see if there's a short to ground on PP-Bus. I'm going to unplug power from my charger. And then at some point when my hand decides to listen to my nervous system, or the other way around, I will see if we have a short to ground. And it looks like we do. We have 1.9 ohms to ground on our PP-Bus. So now we're going to take a look over the board and see if there's anything that looks like it could be wrong with our PP-Bus. Let's take a look around this board and see what's going on with it. We're going to turn on the microscope camera. Also, thank you very much to people like Paul Daniels for making multimeter software available that allows you to see what's on my multimeter on the screen without me having to read it to you. A big thank you to Paul Daniels. Head over to pldaniels.com to check out his free software, his repair services, or hit a donate link if you appreciate the fact that he's made software like this, which we should. We should all respect Paul Daniels. Respect Paul Daniels. Okay, so let's take a look around this board. Let's try and figure out why my microscope camera says it has no signal. Why don't you have a signal, little microscope camera? Who hurt you? It's not plugged in, right? Okay. The microscope camera appears to be dead. We're going to be changing this stream. We're going to be doing something else today. Today we're going to be fixing a microscope camera. Motherfucker. Okay, let's see. Where's my screwdriver that I need to open this shit? AJ. All right, we're going to try and fix the microscope camera. Hey, it works. It came back to life right as I got my stuff. All right, so I learned a lesson there. I learned a very important lesson. I said something nice about Paul Daniels and his software. And right after I said something nice about Paul Daniels and his software, my entire stream setup stopped working. Coincidence? I think not. We're going to go back. We got to stop lying. Because when you lie, not only does your nose grow, but your entire setup stops working. And I felt my nose growing as I said nice things about Paul Daniels and his software. And the world punished me for saying those nice things about Paul Daniel and his software. It let me know that that was not appropriate. A disgusting practice of complete disrespect. All right, so how does that video look for all of you? I hope it looks good. Check that out. Is that not beautiful and in focus? So let's take a look around this board. This board has a very small amount of pubes on it. I'm very impressed by that. I would typically expect far more pubes on a board than what I... Oh. Oh dear. What is that? What is that? That does not look very good at all. That's disgusting. And it looks like this is right by a CPU MOSFET. The CPU MOSFET. That's the thing that powers the CPU. You know, the thing that requires the Zalmo to replace. The tool that Paul loves. The Zalmo. All right, let's get to it. Let's see if that's what's causing iron short to ground. But I want to look around the board a little bit more before I just determine that that's the cause of the problem. Maybe that was just somebody nicking something with their screwdriver. By somebody, I mean most likely an L. Okay. Wonder what that's for. So I know the other thing is around CPU area. What does this do? Pedro donated $1 through Super Chat. Thank you very much. I highly appreciate that. I really do. That's very kind and polite of you. And it makes me feel less stupid about putting money into the nicer microphone setup and stuff here. Thank you very much. Okay, it looks like that capacitor, C7421, is on a buck converter for CPU vCore. And it died. And in addition to that, we also have a CPU vCore MOSFET that looks like a byte has been taken out of it. So let's see. What do you all think? Do you think this is just going to work again if I replace that MOSFET and replace the capacitor? Or do you think that this is going to require an L to live stream replacing a CPU tomorrow after we live stream him taking the Zalmo, carrying it on his shoulder up the stairs from the basement filled with rats and rat piss and garbage directly to this desk? What do you think? One way to find out. So we are going to get rid of that screen cable, since that screen cable is very close to this capacitor, and I'm going to wind up melting it. Oh yeah. Poor an L. Poor an L. God, you're salty. I agree with you on Linux, though. I won't use anything but Linux for software development, but I'll go to Windows for entertainment. I just want things to work. Indeed, I am salty. I am salty. You want to? I am a very salty man when it comes to Linux. It's just, it's one of those things where, do I want to spend my, like, why? I have to ask myself philosophically, why? What am I looking to do with the computer? Because if I'm looking, what I'm looking to do with the computer is what I'm looking to do with the Bafang, which is endlessly fuck with it and tweak it, then that's cool. I realize that the amount of effort that I put into these tiny little tweaks for my bike, that's time I'm never getting back. So when I decide, I don't want just 2 chargers on there. I want 3 or 4 chargers that are controlled by a switch. Or I want to redo the entire wiring just so that I have modular connectors for the lights and shit. This is time. I'm not going to get paid back for that in the usefulness. It's just something that I enjoy doing. I enjoy fucking with it. I realize that fucking with the when I realize that when I try to figure out, let me go from 45 amps to 60, or let me try 60 to 90, that tiny little speed difference is completely undone by the fact that I took hours to go into it. So even if I shave like 30 seconds off coming to work, if I put 3 hours into fixing that, I'm never making that back. But I'm doing it because I enjoy fucking with it. Now, when it comes to the machine, when I was a teenager, I genuinely used to enjoy fucking with it, like doing SCSI or IDE emulation or something just to get a DVD burner to work or a DVD drive to show up in K3B. Like figuring out all that shit, that was a badge of pride. I loved tweaking and looking under the hood and fucking with shit. But as a 30-year-old man that never gets sleep, that has other goals, it's just like, the computer to me is a means to an end. I want to stream to YouTube. I want to use this to teach people board repair. I want to use the computer to make money. I want to use the computer to entertain myself. I actually cringe at the idea of opening my computer up and tweaking it. I genuinely do. Like just opening it up to blow out the dust earlier. It's just, or having to put my hand in there and like get it around. Not, don't scratch the side of my hand on a radiator or the heat sink or smash it into something to remove something. I don't want to fuck with that stuff anymore. I hate building computers. I really do. I hate assembling computers so much that we've employed 3 people here that do nothing but assemble computers. I hate assembling computers enough to make it somebody else's full-time job to do it. So I never have to do it again. I turn it on, I plug it in, I see fan spin, and then I hand it to somebody else. The idea of actually assembling my own computer, maybe it's just because I've spent too much time doing it. Anyway, we can remove this capacitor and see if this fixes our short. I'm really curious to see if that CPU MOSFET is good or not. I think there's actually a chance that it's good, because if you take a look at this, this only looks like it's superficial zing. That looks like a very superficial zing up here. I don't think that this is going to be a serious issue. Whereas this over here, this is not a superficial zing. This is a serious wrong. That's very, very bad. Yeah. Especially with a NAS. Like, 10 years ago, the idea of paying another company to make a NAS, even if there was like a 5-cent difference between the Synology and the thing that I build myself, I would build it myself just because I couldn't imagine having somebody else do it for me. And now, yeah, Synology wants what? A $300 to $400 premium over the cost of what it would cost to build your own NAS? Oh, that's fine. Yeah, I don't want to edit comp files. Fuck that. I don't want to edit comp files. I don't want to have to go nuts to set up a system where I know where it'll tell me which of the drives that's plugged in is the one that failed. Don't tell me it's dev/SDA that failed. Which fucking physical drive is it? Which physical drive is it? Give me a light. I'll just, maybe it makes me less of a geek, and I'm fine with that. And I definitely outgrew that stage of my life. I think a part of it is after spending 12 hours or 16 hours troubleshooting and screwing with all this stuff, I just don't care about messing with my own shit anymore. It's like once I've used, I think that I've used up that part of me that wants to problem solve, at least at this type of level. Once I leave the store. Once I leave, give me stuff that just works. FreeNAS is not easier because I have to build the thing myself. And admittedly, IX Systems puts out some really pathetic hardware for the prices that they charge. Eli, the computer guy, did a very good video on the NAS that he got sent by IX Systems. It was something else. By the way, Tim, at some point, would you like to tell the world what the name of the company was that sent you that board that they destroyed? I mean, that got you, not that they didn't send it to you. The company that destroyed the board for the customer that you fixed. At some point, would you like to let the world know who that was? Kind of curious. Glad to catch another stream. Keep it up. Chris says keep it real. Thank you. I know this is not one of my best streams. I'm kind of tired and not doing much of a great job. So the first thing I'd like to do here, before moving on to anything else, is let's see if my short circuit is now removed. Lewis does already stream on Vimeo, Scott. Their interface is not the best when it comes to live streaming, so I don't open it up. I set Restream to stream to their RMTP link. It would suck if I had actually log into the site every time I wanted to stream, but I don't think that's the case. Okay, so let's see what my resistance is to ground, and if this thing has the ability to work. So F6 or F5. Okay, which one of these turns on the Paul Daniels multimeter software? Uh-oh. Boy, damn it. That one was user error. I can't blame Paul there. I hate when I can't blame Paul for something. Takes away my reason to live. Okay. So it looks like our short circuit is actually gone now that we've taken off that capacitor. Someone says, why no Twitch? Probably because Twitch is being a shit and not working. Let's see. I think Twitch... Yeah, it says that I'm actually streaming to YouTube, Twitch, and Vimeo. Interesting. I have 0 viewers on Twitch, though. Maybe it's bitching because of the bitrate that I set. Perhaps the bitrate is too high. This is set to 7,500 kilobit per second. I can set this to 5,500 kilobit per second. And maybe Twitch will stop complaining. Let's see what happens now. And let's also see what the... Is the TS100 good enough to start out? Absolutely. TS100 is a fine iron. You just got to get yourself a good power supply. I would suggest going all the way up to 24 volts. Get yourself a 24 rather than 19. Because if you get yourself a 24 volt one rather than a 19 volt power supply, then you're going to be getting the exact, virtually, I shouldn't say exact because I don't want to get sued. You'll get almost the exact same experience you get with a HAKKO. So the HAKKO soldering station that I have has, it runs on 24 volts. So it's putting 24 volts into the tip. Just a tip. Hello. Hey, be right there. Yeah. Food's here. Food's here. Food's here. Yes. Yeah. So the HAKKO FX951 is dumping 24 volts into the tip. Thank you. So a lot of people use a laptop charger with the TS100, and the TS100 is a pretty nice device, and it does work with the HAKKO tips, which I like. It's not like you don't have to buy all new snowflake tips. That's the thing I like about it, is if you actually do wind up getting plenty money someday, as Plies would say, I got plenty money. Hopefully you will too. Someday I'll have as much money as Plies. No, damn it, I'm gonna have that song stuck in my head. But yeah, if you use it at 24 volts, you'll get the same experience, almost the same experience you would with a HAKKO. Not the same controller, but the same voltage. You get the idea. The TS80, that I'm not a fan of. The TS80, that works off USB-C, the voltage is way too low. Can you solder with it? Absolutely. Does it cost about the same amount of money as the TS100, which will give you a far faster, better experience? It sure does. Now, there is a misconception that that the TS80's benefit is that the TS80 can be used with a portable power bank, so it's mobile, whereas the TS100 is not mobile. That is a misconception. And I'll show you it right now as I stuff my face with food. So let me show you let me show you something that I think is pretty cool that will allow you to get a better experience than what you would get with the TS80 and have it be portable. So one thing that pissed me off terribly about the TS80 is I forget if I was using 9 volts or 12 volts. I think I was using 9 volts. 9 volts is a joke. That is not, no. Just no. I want something higher than that. And you were actually able to get some pretty good power out of the TS100 portably if you get this one battery that I'm going to show you here. Okay, here we go. Damn it, I don't have my Stream Deck. So check this out. Now, granted, this is expensive, but it's a battery that can do 5 volts, 12 volts, or 20. And if you get this battery, you'll be able to use the TS100 mobile. So the TS100 will work as a mobile station if you get this, and 20 versus 24 volts, it's not going to heat up as fast. It's not going to give you as much power as you could get otherwise. However, it's much better than the 9 volts that you're going to get from some USB-C shit that can't even do the full delivery. Because when I plugged that thing into a MacBook charger and I saw that it could not do 20 volts, that was embarrassing. I thought the whole point of having a USB-C iron was that USB-C can deliver 20 volts. So if you only have a 5 or 9 volt charger, it'll work off that. But if you have a 20 volt capable charger, it will. And the TS80 didn't. That was some weak shit. I'm definitely with the TS100. David, I love DD Rescue. DD Rescue is really good stuff. I was using that for most of the shop data recoveries before Steve got the clean room bench and the PC3000. I would say go to the Central Park Zoo. I forget the name of the animals. They're not dolphins. It's crap. I can't believe I forget the name of it. Is it seals? I think it's the seals. Or dolphins or something. Anyway, there are these animals that every time kids yell, they like to toss water and splash them. It's hysterical. So every time, if you say hi, they'll come up to you and say hi. But if a kid goes, wah, wah, the dolphin or whatever will go up to the kid and splash him as hard as he could with all the water. It's fucking hysterical. Because the thing is, I'm not allowed to do that as an adult. I can't go up to somebody else's kid and say, shut the fuck up, stop crying. However, a dolphin or a seal at a zoo, he's not going to get in trouble. He doesn't have to worry about a societal, social score. And I'm allowed to laugh when the dolphin does it. It's pretty funny. Thank you, Stets. Are you still vegan? I am a bad vegan, but good vegetarian, I would say. In the interest of not pissing off any activists out there. You probably can get a cheaper charger, portable power supply for the TS100 than that. That was a pretty sick one. That could actually support a ThinkPad P50 live streaming using NVEnc and encoding video using libx264 at the same time for several hours. DD Rescue is marvelous, so I'm biased because some of my code is in there. That explains why Steve started using PC3000. That explains why Steve won't let me use DD Rescue anymore. Yeah, so with DD Rescue, I'd usually use first pass, like DD Rescue -F -N for no split -A, and I'd have the sector size match the threshold for which it should skip an area. So let's say it was a drive with 4096 sector size, I'd have 40960000 after the -A. I'd run that. And then I'd do a second pass with F/F/D/R, like 100. If somebody wanted to pay for a lab, they could pay for a lab. But if they were cheap about paying for a lab, I'd let it sit there scraping and scraping and scraping away for weeks on end. And it would actually get a lot of stuff. Now, if you were to use something like DD Rescue to do a clone, and then you use something like Disk Warrior after you've done the clone to repair the file structure, so once you've gotten the actual the data copied over, then you try to uncorrupt the data once it's sitting on a good drive. So you get the raw data over with DD Rescue, then you have something smart like Disk Warrior fix that raw data, you may get something that's bootable. And even if you don't get something that's bootable, you can typically use migration assistance from a new operating system to try and migrate that DD rescued clone after you use Disk Warrior, and you'll have be able to give your customers back all their data, not just data, but you have a full migration, programs, software, serial numbers, passwords. And that's typically the difference between an amateur and professional. No, the real difference between amateur and professional. Amateur, DD Rescue. Professional, Steve, opening the drive, head swaps, ladder swaps, or firmware changing, all that stuff. I gotta convince Steve to do more videos of hard drive recovery. He's not exactly a camera person. It's interesting. I don't get along with people well. I can't stand people. I don't understand people. Yet, I have a YouTube channel with 800 plus thousand subscribers and stream regularly. He is very good with dealing with people. He has great, very high social intelligence, very high emotional intelligence. He does not want to be on camera. I don't blame him. Okay, we're gonna now. That capacitor is going to be replaced, and I'm really interested in telling whether or not this works after I replace the cap. So I actually should have grabbed the cap since I was back there before. I washed my hands and my face after eating. Washing one's hands and face is highly recommended after eating. A donor board of complete disrespect. Alright, I turned off that quiet shit and have all the fans going full speed. I must fix my Threadripper later. My thread is being ripped. My Threadripper went swoosh swoosh. Alright, so now I got fans turned all the way up. Vroom. Effing vroom. So fans are all full speed. Let's see. 2,000 RPM on the pump. 2,000 RPM on the exhaust. 2,900 RPM on the pump. 2,600 RPM on the CPU fan. 0 RPM on the dead CPU fan. And the incoming and GPU radiator is... Better be spinning, mofo. There we go, yeah. The incoming fans that are on the GPU radiator are also spinning quickly. The GPU core is 27 Celsius, while NVENC is doing its thing. And my CPU is sitting sideways at 55 Celsius. All right. Now we're going to see if we get an image. Now you know that I'm a little skeptical of that of the CPU MOSFET, given what it looks like. And I usually wouldn't want it to give something like that back to a customer. However, there's a saying that you should probably copy the tactics of the people who are beating you. And Apple is clearly winning. So if Apple were to give something back to somebody that wasn't in perfect condition, and it were to fail, they'd probably say something like, "I'm sorry that you had this problem that affected such a small number of users." So I think what I'm going to do if this fails again, I'm just going to tell them, "I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry your logic board repair that only fails for a few number of our customers has had an issue." But just for lulz, I want to see if that destroyed CPU MOSFET looking thing actually works. A small number of our customers may experience an issue. A small number of our customers may notice that when the fans die in their computer, the performance of them goes down. A small number. 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 Holy shit. iPhone 4. Holy shit. Are you booting into something? Are you actually booting into something? Are you taking 400 milliamps right now? Is that what I'm seeing? Wow. It booted. With that CPU MOSFET, it booted. That's pretty interesting. All right, so I would usually do a couple of videos or a couple of board repairs in a row. Unfortunately, I do have to attend to the fact that half of the fans in my computer are on the fritz or not working properly, because not only am I an idiot that can't plug in RAM, I am also an idiot that manages his cables around the fans in his computer. When I am dealing with a product for a customer, I make sure every cable is plugged into the right space. I put the short screw in the short hole, the long screw in the long hole. I realign all my cables properly. I don't have the Wi-Fi wires in a MacBook Air going along the screw holes. I make sure that every cable is routed properly. Everything is put exactly where it's supposed to go. But when it comes to my stuff, it all gets treated like shit. Because the customer can leave a negative Yelp review of me. I can't. The customer can file a chargeback on me, but I cannot file a chargeback of myself. And because I don't file chargebacks on myself, I get shit like this. Or my computer sounds like a goddamn airplane because I didn't put it together properly, because I was rushing, because I needed to put together somebody else's. But now, I'm going to focus on my computer to make my machine work. That's it for today, and as always, I hope you learned something.